I'm looking at the fan reaction, and a lot of fans appear to be out for today's game. A lot of fans are putting in their own personal injury report. Out. Open parentheses, no Caitlin Clark, close parentheses.
Most injury reports begin with a team's official update. This one started somewhere completely different. Before the opening tip, a wave of fans online began posting their own version of an injury report, and the message was strikingly similar from one comment to the next: no Caitlin Clark, no game. It wasn't the Indiana Fever announcing another absence. It was viewers saying they were choosing to sit this one out as well. That reaction immediately changed the conversation from a routine lineup update into something much larger. At first glance, those comments might seem like ordinary disappointment. Every major sport has fans who tune in primarily to watch their favorite player. But the sheer consistency of the reactions caught attention because they focused less on who would play and more on who wouldn't. Instead of debating matchups or predicting winners, many people were openly saying they had lost interest in watching altogether. That distinction matters because it raises a bigger question than the outcome of a single game. Was this simply the understandable reaction to one of basketball's biggest stars missing another night, or was it revealing something deeper about where fan interest in the WNBA currently stands? That question became even more compelling because the discussion wasn't being driven only by commentators or television analysts. It was unfolding in real time through fan posts, shared screenshots, and conversations spreading across social media. Public reaction is not the same as proof of a broader trend, but it often reveals how people perceive a moment before the hard numbers arrive. In this case, the perception was impossible to ignore. As the hours passed, attention shifted away from the injury itself and toward what the absence might mean beyond one game. If so many viewers were publicly declaring they were skipping the broadcast, would that sentiment show up somewhere else? Would ticket demand reflect the same mood? Would television audiences change? Or would the online conversation turn out to be louder than reality? Those questions became the real story, and they set the stage for everything that followed. If the online reaction was the first clue, the ticket market quickly became the second. Long before the opening tip, people began pointing to listings that appeared to show thousands of seats still available, including lower-level tickets being offered at prices that would normally attract considerable attention. According to the commentary surrounding the game, some resale listings had dropped into the $20 to $40 range, while other seats closer to the court were also available for far less than many expected. Those observations immediately fueled a new narrative. Some fans argued the discounted prices were evidence that interest had disappeared the moment Caitlin Clark was ruled out. Others cautioned against jumping to that conclusion. Ticket prices are influenced by countless factors, including opponent, day of the week, local demand, resale competition, and simple market timing. Looking at listings alone cannot tell the entire story of attendance or overall fan engagement. Still, resale markets often provide an interesting snapshot of expectations. When people who already own tickets begin lowering prices, it can suggest they're trying to attract buyers before the event begins. Whether that reflects widespread concern or simply a normal market adjustment depends on the broader context. Without official attendance figures, it's important not to overstate what those listings prove. Even so, the images circulating online became part of the discussion because they appeared to reinforce the same feeling already spreading across social media. Fans who had announced they were skipping the game now pointed to inexpensive tickets as confirmation that others were making similar decisions. Whether that interpretation was entirely accurate remained an open question, but the perception itself continued gathering momentum. Then another layer entered the conversation. Comparisons emerged between primary ticket sellers and resale marketplaces, where some listings appeared noticeably cheaper than their original prices. For many observers, that wasn't presented as definitive proof of declining demand. Instead, it became another piece of a growing puzzle. The conversation was no longer focused solely on one player's absence. It was becoming a broader discussion about how much one superstar influences consumer interest, and whether a single regular season game could reveal something meaningful about the league's current relationship with its rapidly expanding audience. As the discussion around attendance and ticket prices continued to build, the focus gradually shifted somewhere else entirely. Instead of asking whether fans would show up, many began asking whether the Indiana Fever had done enough to protect the player who had become the center of so much attention. That change transformed the conversation from one about demand into one about responsibility. Much of the criticism centered on head coach Stephanie White's public comments regarding officiating after Clark's injury. Those remarks were widely reported and sparked another round of debate. Some supporters argued the concerns should have been voiced much earlier, pointing to the physical play Clark had faced throughout the season. In their view, speaking out after an injury felt reactive rather than preventative. Others viewed the situation differently. Coaches have limited influence over how games are officiated, and injuries remain an unavoidable part of professional sports. From that perspective, criticizing White for circumstances beyond her direct control overlooks the reality that every coach must balance advocating for players with maintaining working relationships with officials. Those competing interpretations became just as important as the original comments themselves. The conversation grew even more complicated once attention turned to Clark's injury status. Fans repeatedly questioned how serious the back issue might be and whether more information should be shared. The organization, however, provided only the updates it chose to make public. That restraint is neither unusual nor improper. Teams routinely protect medical privacy, and there are legitimate reasons for limiting detailed disclosures about a player's condition. Even so, the lack of specifics created room for speculation. Some fans interpreted the limited information as a sign that the injury might be more significant than initially believed. Others suggested the team simply could not reveal more without violating privacy or creating unnecessary pressure. Those ideas reflected public interpretation rather than verified fact, but they spread quickly because uncertainty often invites competing explanations. By this point, perception had become part of the story. Every official statement, every media report, and every social media reaction was being viewed through the same lens, not just concern over one player's health, but growing questions about how the league's biggest attraction was being managed during one of the most closely watched seasons in WNBA history. The discussion didn't stop with fans or ticket marketplaces. Before long, attention expanded to another group with a major stake in the outcome: television broadcasters. Over the past year, growing interest in the WNBA has translated into increased national exposure, and networks have invested heavily in showcasing marquee matchups. That made this particular game more than just another regular season contest. It became an early test of how much star availability influences television interest. One of the biggest talking points involved ESPN's expanded commitment to primetime WNBA coverage. Commentators pointed to the network's Sunday night package as evidence of growing confidence in the league's ability to attract national audiences. That investment reflects more than one player. It reflects a broader belief that women's basketball has reached a new level of visibility. At the same time, marquee broadcasts naturally benefit when the sport's biggest names are on the floor. That led to another closely watched topic: television ratings. During the conversation surrounding Clark's absence, several commentators referenced reports that a recent nationally televised game without her drew roughly 1.5 million viewers, compared with another comparable broadcast that reportedly attracted about 600,000 more viewers. Importantly, even those discussing the figures acknowledged they were relying on reported numbers rather than audited final data, making the direction of the trend more meaningful than any single total. Those reported comparisons quickly became part of a larger debate. Some interpreted them as further evidence that Clark has become the league's biggest television draw. Others argued that ratings naturally fluctuate because of scheduling, opponents, competing sporting events, and countless factors beyond the presence or absence of one player. Both perspectives deserve consideration because television audiences are rarely influenced by a single variable. Even so, broadcasters monitor star availability for a simple business reason. Across every major sport, recognizable athletes help attract casual viewers who might not otherwise tune in. That doesn't diminish the importance of the teams or the competition itself. Instead, it highlights the reality that star power has long been one of sports television's strongest marketing tools. As the night approached, the biggest question remained unanswered. Would this game reinforce the growing belief that Clark's presence dramatically changes audience interest, or would the final television numbers tell a more balanced story? Whatever the outcome, networks would almost certainly be studying the results as closely as everyone else. By this stage, the conversation had moved well beyond one injury update or one regular season game. It had become a broader discussion about the WNBA's current moment and the challenge that often comes with rapid growth. Nearly everyone agreed that Caitlin Clark has brought extraordinary attention to the league. Where opinions began to diverge was over what that attention actually means for the sport's long-term future. Many fans pointed to the reported reactions surrounding this game as evidence that Clark has become the league's biggest attraction. They highlighted the social media posts from viewers saying they would skip the broadcast, the discussion surrounding ticket availability, and the reported ratings comparisons as signs that her presence influences consumer interest in ways rarely seen in professional basketball. From that perspective, Clark is more than a talented rookie. She has become a crossover sports figure capable of drawing audiences that extend well beyond traditional WNBA fans. Others viewed the same developments through a different lens. They argued that relying too heavily on one superstar creates unnecessary pressure for any league, regardless of how influential that player may be. Injuries, scheduled rest, and changing circumstances are inevitable over the course of a long season. If public interest rises and falls dramatically based on one player's availability, the challenge becomes finding ways to encourage new viewers to remain engaged even when that player is not on the court. That perspective doesn't diminish Clark's impact. Instead, it emphasizes the opportunity her popularity has created. Increased national exposure gives established stars, emerging players, and championship contenders greater visibility than ever before. The goal, according to many analysts, is to transform first-time viewers into long-term fans by showcasing the league's broader talent rather than depending exclusively on a single headline. In many ways, both viewpoints can be true at the same time. One player can serve as the catalyst for unprecedented growth while the league simultaneously works to broaden its appeal. Those ideas are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they may represent two different stages of the same process. That is why this discussion has resonated far beyond one night's attendance or television audience. It raises a fundamental question facing every rapidly growing sports league: how do you capitalize on the momentum generated by a transformational star while building a foundation strong enough to sustain that momentum for years to come? As the final buzzer approached, it became clear that the biggest takeaway would not be found in the box score alone. Wins and losses always matter, but this conversation had grown into something much larger than the outcome of a single regular season game. It had become a reflection of how quickly one player can reshape public attention and how difficult it can be for any league to navigate the opportunities and challenges that follow. The evidence discussed throughout the day pointed in several different directions. There were widely shared fan reactions announcing they would skip the broadcast without Caitlin Clark. There were screenshots of ticket listings that fueled debate about demand. There were reported television audience comparisons that suggested her presence can have a meaningful impact, while also requiring the important reminder that ratings fluctuate for many reasons and should never be explained by a single factor alone. What none of those pieces can do by themselves is settle the larger question. One game cannot define the future of an entire league. Attendance varies. Television audiences rise and fall. Injuries are an unavoidable part of professional sports, and every organization eventually faces moments when its biggest stars are unavailable. Drawing sweeping conclusions from one night would ignore that broader reality. At the same time, moments like this often reveal how fans are thinking in real time. They expose expectations, loyalties, and concerns that statistics alone cannot fully capture. Whether those reactions represent a lasting trend or simply an emotional response to an unusual situation is something that only time, and many more games, can answer. Perhaps the most significant lesson is not about dependence on one player but about opportunity. Every new fan drawn to the WNBA represents a chance to discover other stars, rivalries, and storylines that can strengthen the league for years to come. Transformational athletes have changed the trajectory of sports before, and history shows that sustained growth usually comes when the spotlight expands beyond a single name. That leaves the conversation where it began, with a question rather than a verdict. Was this simply an isolated night shaped by unusual circumstances, or was it an early glimpse into the opportunities and challenges that come with building a league around unprecedented star power? Only the seasons ahead will provide the answer.